Frank was always the first one up in the neighborhood. He'd water the lawn before sunrise, feed the birds, and take his morning walk before the world even stirred. But one night, around 2 a.m., something changed. A sharp pain gripped his calf, so fierce it knocked him right off balance. He tried to stand, but his leg wouldn't hold. He lay there on the cold floor, heart racing. It wasn't just a cramp. It was a wake-up call. At 72, Frank thought he was doing everything right, but he didn't realize how much his body had changed. As we age, our muscles lose strength and hydration more quickly. Studies even show that losing just 10% of muscle mass can double the risk of falls. One overlooked mineral, magnesium, was missing from Frank's diet, and that one gap almost sent him to the hospital. If you're over 60 or you care for someone who is, you need to hear this. These leg cramps, they're not just part of getting older. They're signals. Watch until the end, because the number one food that could help might already be in your kitchen. Frank's fall shook him more than he cared to admit. The next morning, he sat quietly by the kitchen window, rubbing his calf, staring at the mug in his hands. His wife, Ellen, set a plate of scrambled eggs beside him, just like she had for the last 45 years. "You okay, hon?" she asked softly. He didn't answer right away. "My legs, they don't feel like mine anymore," he finally said. "Feels like they're giving up on me." She reached across the table, took his hand. Maybe they're just tired. Maybe they need something more. That line stuck with Frank. Something more. Later that week, at a checkup, his doctor nodded knowingly. "You're not alone, Frank. Cramps like that can be a sign your magnesium levels are low. As we get older, we lose it faster, especially if we're not eating enough greens. And without enough magnesium, your muscles can't relax properly. They tense up, spasm, cramp." It clicked. So it's not just age. No, it's how we fuel age. Frank and Ellen went straight to the store. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard. All the greens he used to ignore found their way into his basket. He started slow. A handful of spinach in his morning eggs, a bit of kale blended into Ellen's smoothies. That simple shift, it brought his strength back, one breakfast at a time. Across town, Doris, 78, felt something similar. Every spring, she used to plant daisies and tomatoes in the little garden behind her apartment, kneeling in the dirt, humming old Elvis tunes, waving to neighbors who walked by. But this year, her legs trembled after just 10 minutes. "I thought it was just old age," she told her daughter. "But then I couldn't even finish planting the basil. My hands were steady, but my legs, they just weren't holding me up." Doris didn't know that aging muscles lose more than strength. They lose balance, endurance, and essential minerals like magnesium. When she added more leafy greens into her daily meals, the difference surprised her. No miracle cure, just steady, gentle strength coming back. Studies show that walking an extra 10 minutes a day, along with proper magnesium intake, can reduce the risk of muscle loss by up to 20%. Doris didn't need to run a marathon. She just wanted to get back to her garden. She's back there now, tending her daisies. A little slower, maybe, but stronger. Have your legs ever felt shaky after standing too long? Or have you seen a loved one struggle to get out of a chair lately? Leave a comment and share your story. Someone might see it and feel less alone. And if you care for someone over 60, take a look at what's on their plate. Sometimes, the first step to stronger legs is just a little more green on the table. Stay with us. The next food on this list might be the one your legs have been missing. George had always loved the quiet of dusk. At 82, he still managed a slow walk around the block every evening with his beagle, Rosie. Neighbors would wave, and George would tip his cap, always taking his time, always ending the walk at the bench near the oak tree. But one evening, halfway through their loop, his calf locked up. A sudden, sharp cramp, like his leg had turned to stone. Rosie tugged gently on the leash, confused. George leaned against a lamppost, his breath quick, heart pounding, leg frozen. He didn't make it to the oak tree that night. Rosie sat beside him until his daughter came to pick them up. At the clinic the next day, George was embarrassed. "I'm just old, Doc. Legs aren't what they used to be." But his doctor shook her head. "It's not just age, George. You're probably low on potassium. When potassium drops, your muscles can misfire. They tighten, spasm, and cramp. It's like trying to run a car without enough oil." That was George's aha moment. wasn't just about slowing down, it was about running low. He learned that as we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing and storing potassium. Add to that certain blood pressure medications, which George was on, and it's no surprise his muscles were crying out. She recommended something simple. Start the day with half a banana. It's quick potassium, and it's gentle on the stomach, she said. George nodded. Haven't had a banana in years. Used to pack one in my kids' lunchboxes every morning. That memory made him smile. So the next day, he peeled one and ate it slowly, sitting on his porch, Rosie curled up at his feet. By the end of the week, the cramps had eased. He was still walking slower than he used to, but he made it back to the oak tree, and even sat there a while, watching the sun set like he always had. Potassium is essential for muscle and nerve function. And bananas? They're one of the easiest ways to get it. Just one medium banana has about 400 milligrams, enough to keep the muscles firing smoothly. Studies suggest that low potassium levels are linked to more frequent and severe muscle cramps in adults over 60, especially those taking diuretics or with high blood pressure. It doesn't take much to make a difference. A banana, a conversation with your doctor, a little attention to what your body is quietly asking for. Have you ever had a cramp that stopped you in your tracks? Or do you have your own trick for keeping them away, bananas or something else? Share it in the comments. Someone out there might really need to hear it. And keep watching. Up next, the one vitamin most seniors forget that plays a big role in keeping legs strong and steady. Betty had always been the kind of woman who woke up with the sun. Back in her little cottage, she used to tend to rose bushes every morning, humming to herself as the dew settled on the petals. But when she moved into assisted living at 84, things changed. The window in her new room faced the parking lot, not the garden. She didn't go outside as much, maybe once or twice a week when the staff organized group walks. And slowly, without her even noticing, her legs began to betray her. It started with the little things, knees wobbling when she stood up too quickly, a strange heaviness when climbing the 3 steps to the activity room. One morning as she tried to get out of bed, her calf seized up, a deep, aching cramp that made her cry out. Probably just age, she muttered to herself. But her physical therapist thought differently. Betty, have you had your vitamin D levels checked recently? Betty blinked. I haven't been in the sun much lately. That's likely the problem, the therapist said gently. Vitamin D helps your muscles and nerves communicate. Without enough of it, your legs might not respond the way they should. That cramp, that weakness, it's not just getting old. It might be your body running low on a very basic fuel. That was Betty's wake-up call. Not age, not decline, just a gap, and one that could be filled. Studies show that nearly 60% of adults over 70 in the U.S. are deficient in vitamin D, especially those who don't get regular sunlight. It's one of the most common deficiencies in older adults, and yet so often overlooked. Her therapist suggested a simple change. Eat salmon twice a week, or add eggs with the yolks to breakfast. Egg yolks contain small but steady amounts of vitamin D, and salmon is packed with it. They even talked about sitting on the porch for 10 minutes a day just to soak up a little natural sunshine. Just 10 minutes? Betty asked, surprised. Yep, even that can help your body make what it needs. So that afternoon, she took her tea out to the patio. It wasn't a rose garden, but the sun felt warm on her cheeks. She closed her eyes and let herself remember how it used to feel, digging in the dirt, talking to the robins, feeling useful. And something in her relaxed. She started eating differently too. Scrambled eggs with spinach, a little grilled salmon on Sundays. Within a few weeks, she noticed she wasn't gripping the rail quite as tightly. Her knees felt steadier. Have you or your loved one been getting enough sunlight lately? When was the last time you checked on their vitamin D levels? Drop a comment and let others know what small changes have worked for you. And if you're still watching, type sunshine in the comments. It helps others find their way here. Stay with us. Next, we'll talk about a vitamin that helps blood flow to your legs, and most people don't even think about it. Walter had always brushed things off. Just getting old, he'd say with a chuckle, waving off his daughter's concern. At 79, he still prided himself on doing the crossword every morning and watering his backyard tomato plants, even if he had to lean on the railing more these days. But lately, the leg cramps were something else. They came mostly at night. One minute he'd be dreaming about fishing with his brother. The next he'd be clutching his calf in the dark, teeth gritted, waiting for the pain to pass. His daughter, Lisa, finally made him go see the doctor. "Dad, you can't just live like this. You need to find out what's going on." The doctor ran a few tests and then sat Walter down. "Your calcium levels are much lower than they should be," he said. "It's not just about your bones, Walter. Your muscles need calcium to relax properly. Without enough of it, they seize up, like what you're feeling at night." Walter blinked. "I thought calcium was just for bones." "You're not alone," the doctor replied. "But it's essential for your muscles too, especially as you get older. Science backs that up. Research shows that older adults often absorb less calcium from food, especially if their diet lacks variety or if they don't get enough vitamin D. Over time, this can lead to cramping, weakness, and even bone thinning. The fix wasn't complicated. Try having a small bowl of yogurt with fruit before bed, the doctor said. Or if you can stand it, sardines a couple times a week. They're packed with calcium, bones and all. That night, Walter stood in front of the fridge, staring at a cup of yogurt like it was medicine. "Can't hurt," he muttered, adding a few blueberries on top. And something shifted, not just in his legs, though those night cramps did ease up after a week or so, but in his mindset. For the first time, he realized this wasn't just aging. It wasn't inevitable. It was something he could change. Now it's part of his routine. Crossword puzzle, check. Tomatoes, check. Yogurt with fruit? You bet. Feels good to wake up without pain, he told Lisa one morning. Better than I thought. Have you or a loved one dealt with nighttime cramps? Try yogurt with fruit before bed tonight. And let us know in the comments if it helps. And hey, if you're still watching, type stronger legs in the comments to let us know you're on this journey too. Backhand index pointing right, stick around. The last tip might surprise you. It's a vitamin most folks overlook, but it plays a key role in keeping your legs moving and pain-free. Linda always had a cup of coffee in her hand. Morning, noon, sometimes even after dinner. At 74, it gave her comfort, a warm ritual that reminded her of mornings on the porch with her husband, back when the kids were still small and the days moved slower. But lately, her nights weren't so peaceful. It started with a strange tightness in her feet, then sharp cramps that curled her toes and left her breathless. She'd sit up in bed, rubbing her legs, wondering why now. Her doctor gently explained, "Linda, you're dehydrated. Caffeine pulls water from your body. And as we get older, our sense of thirst fades. We just don't feel it as much. That, plus certain medications, can throw your electrolytes out of balance." Linda frowned. "But I drink plenty of coffee." He smiled. "Try this. 1 glass of coconut water in the afternoon. Maybe a few orange slices too. Your muscles need potassium and sodium to function properly, and you're running low." It's more common than you'd think. Studies show that up to 40% of older adults don't get enough fluids during the day, which increases their risk of muscle cramps, dizziness, and fatigue. At first, Linda rolled her eyes. Coconut water? That sounded like something the grandkids would drink after soccer practice. But that night, after trying it, she noticed something strange. She slept. No spasms. No jolts. Just rest. The next morning, she took her walk around the block and thought, maybe it wasn't just age after all. Maybe my body's been asking for something I didn't know I was missing. Now, she keeps a bottle of coconut water in the fridge. Not every day, but enough. And sometimes, she'll throw a few orange wedges in a baggie for her afternoon reading time. "I still love my coffee," she tells her sister on the phone. "But I've made room for the good stuff too." How much water do you or your parents drink each day? Drop a comment if you've ever had a surprise cramp at night, and let us know what helped. If you're still watching, comment "hydrated and healthy" so we know you're with us to the end. And don't forget, share this video with someone you care about. These small changes can make a big difference in their comfort, strength, and sleep. And if you want more down-to-earth tips to stay strong as you age, hit that follow button and turn on the bell. We're in this together. Sometimes the body doesn't whisper, it cries out. Through a cramp that stops you mid-step, a leg that trembles while gardening, or a foot that curls painfully in the dark of night. But what if it's not aging? What if it's the body asking, softly, for something it's missing? a little magnesium from spinach, a slice of banana for potassium, salmon for vitamin D, yogurt for calcium, a glass of water when coffee isn't enough. Science shows that walking just 10 extra minutes a day can reduce the risk of muscle loss by 20%. Small changes matter, and they add up, because the truth is, strong legs aren't just about muscles. They're about freedom, to walk your dog, to dance with your grandkids, to get up without fear. If someone you love is over 60, share this video with them. These simple foods could keep them walking longer and smiling more. Speech balloon comment strong legs below if you're still here with us. And if you want more honest, heartwarming health stories, ones that help you take care of yourself and those you love, tap subscribe and turn on the bell. You're not alone. We're in this together.